れじゃ私たちの攻撃は通用しないってこと？
エンドレスナイン、私たちを認めてくれなきゃ攻撃も通じない。
That's a rather effective defense, is it not?
そんなことが。
試してみるのが一番ですな。
Ronovi stepped forward, stamped the floor twice, and a red barrier rose up in front of him. A crowd of goats dashed into it with a terrifying force. While some goats were blown away by it, several of them slipped right through the magical barrier. There was no longer any point in Virgilia trying out her magic spear. Now that some of the goats had decided that her existence was fictional, she could no longer hurt them. Even these great demons and great witches, as well as high-level furniture and weapons, were overcome with fear of the crowd that surrounded them. A crowd that would not be affected by any of their attacks. Have we tried human weapons? Has anyone got a shotgun? Shotguns are real. A shriek from one of the goats became a signal for the wall of them to break. They pushed forward with gaping mouths and foul breath, each trying to reach their prey first, trying to return these fictional creatures to nothingness. Virgilia leapt in front of and held several of the seven sisters, who had fallen on their butts, overpowered by the ferocity of the approaching goats. However, even Virgilia was a fictional creature to these goats. They could chew through her like cotton candy. Renove threw himself at the oncoming goats. Even he would be chewed apart easily. Knowing this, Renove leapt forward. You can't eat him, he's not real. You can't eat things that aren't real. Renove slammed his right fist into the side of a goat's face. As soon as he pulled it back, he swung his left leg into the goat's gut and spun around into a reverse roundhouse that caught the goat again. Renove knew he could do less damage than a mosquito bite against those who didn't accept his existence. This was the height of anti-magic defensive power. Endless 9. The goat swung its log-like fist with a sound like a storm. Renove dodged it by a hair. If he had been an instant slower, the massive arm would have crushed his head like glass. Renove grinned and tried to act tough. He had already abandoned everything. There was nothing he could do here and now, except becoming a shield to buy time. He had already chosen to abandon his life for this. So what's the thing that just punched you a minute ago? The goats kept coming, trying to feast on Renove. None had any pretensions of making this a one-on-one fight. Nothing mattered except chewing apart fantasy. Even just a nibble. As they gnashed those ruthless jaws and fangs, they gathered around Renove. Renove's foot hit something and he stumbled. In the same instant, several massive arms reached out and lifted him up.
シエスタ、何をしてるのよ。撃ちなさいよ。
撃ってどうにかなるならもう撃ってるに。
皆さんどうかお下がりを。私を夢中でかじる間は多少は時間が稼げます。しかしこの斧少し小骨が多いかもしれません。
An elbow rammed itself into the massive, hideous jaws that were trying to chew Renove's head. Of course, the goat did moan, but that did nothing but deprive just one goat from his right of getting the first bite of Renove's head. Many jaws opened wide, trying to crush him and throw him down into those heartless stomachs, which would permit no cheerful fantasies to exist. Sounds like Angie. All of the many arms that lifted Renove up were sliced off. The seven sisters used this chance to fly forward and grab Renove, dragging him back.
ミステリーとおっしゃった方はどなたですか？
somebody tricked a chord with her.
ドラノールの刃は通じるの？
そうか。相手がミステリーを主張するのなら。
Blood red longsword in hand, Dolinar slowly walked forward. Oh, she's triggered now. Behind her walked Will, tapping his back with his black blade.
ファンタジーじゃねえってなら聞こうじゃねえか、お前らの推理。
皆さんのご考説とても楽しみです。
The crowd of goats stepped back. Though they had been so vicious against the fantasy creatures, they stepped back when faced with this pair wielding swords of mystery.
このゲーム版で行われた密室殺人の数々、どれからでも受けて立ちましょう。
違うぜ。受けて立つのは俺らじゃねえ。
そうでした。ミステリーとは挑むもの。なぜに私たちが受けて立たねばというのか。
分かってんだろうな、お前ら。
You are the ones in the hot seat now. Glad the party decorations are still up. This is good. Blue Truth cut the goats apart. That Blue Truth dwelt within each and every one of the riddles in Beto's games so far. What about the closed room with the chain, first game, second Twilight? What about the closed room with the chapel, second game, first Twilight? What about the trick to killing Nanjo, third game, ninth Twilight? There was no end to the blades. countless riddles Beatrice left behind became blades, challenges that tore the goats apart. If they wanted to deny fantasy, they would have to make a counter-argument. They would have to deal with every single trick as a mystery. However, while most of the goats called themselves anti-fantasy, they had no answer for the mystery. Well, every now and then, there was a goat who did have an answer. You sound very nervous, Mr. Goat.
NOX 第1条、犯人は物語当初の登場人物以外は禁ず。
You sound very unsure of yourself there.
バンダイン第12作、真犯人が複数であることを禁ず。つまんねえだろ、そんなミステリー。だから俺は思うぜ、ミステリーはもっと自由であるべきだとな。
ミステリーの定義が時代によって異なるはず。
ちっ、こいつら開き直りやがった。
やはり私たちは時代遅れということなのでしょう。
なら俺たちを納得させる推理を聞かせてみやがれ。
いざ来たれ。
The whole crowd of goats charged them. In their fangs, each of them carried theories to crush Beto's closed rooms. The bodies of these goats were different than the ones who had become corpses so easily just now. They had mystery-styled answers to several closed rooms, so it would take several blade hits to give them a fatal wound. However, Beto had left many blades behind. All of them were exceedingly sharp, so the pair of Inquisitors didn't think this would be a desperate battle. This was mystery. The goal is to use all of your imagination and knowledge to challenge each of the riddles head-on. Doing this is the greatest enjoyment of the mystery genre. So they laughed. Both Will and Dolinar laughed, with smiles of admiration at the theories the goats had put everything they had into. They countered with blades from all the closed rooms. The crowd of goats was no longer an encirclement, but a great wave threatening to swallow the pair up. And yet the pair repelled the enemy without giving an inch. They resisted firmly, cutting through the wave of wailing goats. It was like an ice-breaking ship knocking a path through a frozen sea. Oh, I think that one's gonna get cut.
NOX 第3条、秘密の通路の存在を禁ず。
That's getting a little more clever. But I feel like that one's not gonna work either. Yeah, that's true. There you go. That's a cool CG right there, by the way. Could you imagine a story actually like that? An entire family pretending to be dead, but not really dead? Dolinar hesitated for just an instant. After all, this cliched and simple theory managed to get around both Beto's closed rooms and the Knock commandments. Dolinar saw nothingness inside the goat's massive jaws.
Bandai 第7則、死体なき事件であることを禁ず。
Surely the jaws of that goat had closed over Dolinor's head. However, the upper and lower jaw were no longer connected, so the upper half slid off to the side.
ダイノックスも狂言殺人までは封じ損ねたな。
殺人以外のミステリーも立派なミステリーです。
The goats hadn't backed off far enough to let the pair have a nice long chat about mystery. The next massive figure immediately enveloped them. Will's blade drew a diagonal slash across its chest, but it only cut through its clothes, leaving no wound.
こいつ20のくさびが通用しねえ。
Dolinar also hit it with her longsword, but still it just cut its clothes without leaving a mark on its body. Could it be that this goat had a theory that didn't violate Nox or Van Dyne? In an attempt to stop the goat from saying any more, Will and Dolinar hit it with the blades from every closed room, as well as stakes from the 10 Commandments and the 20 Rules. But none of it had any effect. We might have the truth here. Slowly, the goat clenched its massive fists together and raised them high. With a roar, Will slammed into the goat giant with his body. Though its massive bulk bent back slightly, Will was still leaping into a death trap. However, if he hadn't done so, he wouldn't have been able to protect Dolinar. The goat grabbed Will. It lifted him up and held him high in the air. It was like a little kid showing off his favorite toy and waving it around.
お前の推理、名推理が聞けて散れるならライトの最後にふさわしいだろうね。 The goat's massive hand closed on Will like a vice. All the bones in Will's body were creaking. 聞かせろよ、お前の推理。何？ それはどういう意味だ？
こんなのは本格推理じゃない。考えるだけ時間の無駄だ。ベアトリーチェのゲームなどミステリーなど全てのトリックに回答など全部
I don't know if we got an answer for that one then. Will's head was lower, so his face couldn't be seen. However, the arm of the goat holding him was shaking. The embrace of those log-sized arms with superhuman strength was being slowly pushed away by Will's shaking arms. Oh man, you triggered Will now.
ミステリーを語ってその言葉を口にするのか。ミステリーってのはな、自らの掲げた高潔なルールで挑むその姿勢を誇るもんなんだよ。考
勝てば卑怯でいいのか。どんなに気高く戦っても負ければ意味はないのか。勝ち負けじゃねえだろ。そう、戦う気高さを誇るもんだろ。
You're making some interesting sounds there, Mr. Goat. The goat's arms were now spread wide, and it looked as though Will was now the one pushing it back. Will's face was covered in shadow and couldn't be seen. The edge, it burns. So sharp.
ミステリーを語るやつがよ。俺は一番気に入られんだよ。
Will slammed his forehead into the goat's now unprotected head.
ミステリーを語るなら思考で戦う姿勢を誇れ。
You forehead bashing him?
ミ
What
ス
is
テリーを
this?
語るなら二度と思考の停止を誇らしげに語るんじゃねえ。
Will suffered a massive concussion. Will hit it with his head over and over again. His forehead had been torn apart by the goat's fangs, but he kept on hitting it. Van Dyne and Knox may be behind the times. The mystery genre does progress with time, just like the world around it. However, there's one thing that never changes. That is pride. What is a knight proud of? Not victory. He's proud of the courage that lets him stand up to anyone without fear. Will couldn't forgive the kind of coward who could turn tail from a fight and then brag about it. People who call themselves mystery fans, but who have no pride, were the only ones Will just couldn't bear. The goat, unable to put up with this anymore, threw Will down to the floor. Then he lifted his fist again, determined to crush Will to pieces this time.
キナ、お前は俺を叩き潰すだろう。だがそれはお前の勝利じゃねえ。お前は自らのプライドを自らの手で叩き潰すんだよ。
A fist like a cannonball swinging down towards him was the very last thing Will saw before he shut his eyes.
思考停止はこのゲームじゃ敗北ってことになってるぜ。
Battler smashed his fist into the goat's mouth, and smashed teeth bounced off the ceiling.
バトラ様。
思考停止ってことはミステリーであることを諦めたってことだぜ。ってことはお前にとってはこのゲームはファンタジーってことだな。
Battler lifted up his arm. Realizing this was a signal, Lucifer and Chester.00 jumped.
思考を止めたならお前はもう舞台の上にいるべき役者じゃねえ。偉そうに語ってないで観覧席でポップコーンでも食ってろよ。
The goat lifted his fist again, then swung it down at Battler like a hammer.
ファンタジーに屈したならただの的でしかないに。
それはすなわち私たちの存在を認めるも同じということ。
敵識別を開始。魔法攻撃可能な個体を HMD にマーキング。
ファンタジーに屈服してる子は私たちが相手してあげる。
推理があるならば我らが伺いましょう。
そういう輩は大歓迎だぜ。敬意を示して全力で受け止めてやらあ。おっと、しかしここはバトラ様の見せ場のようですな。
ミステリーもファンタジーもお前ら自慢のご考説をゆっくりと拝聴しているところだがな。しかし今回はお前らのゲームじゃない。お前ら未来のかけらがどんなに否定しようとも俺は折れるわけにはいかねえんだよ。
A golden glint gathered in Battler's hand. It was so bright that the whole hall was bathed in gold. Golden butterflies flitted about, as though the whole room was being swallowed up by the golden land. Battler lifted his golden longsword high.
ミステリーもファンタジーもレアとのゲームに挑む姿勢は大いに結構だ。歓迎もする。だがな、俺のこの最後のゲームの否定だけは絶対にさせねえ。眠る者の尊厳を傷つける不謹慎を知れ。
A slice of the golden longsword flooded the hall with a sea of golden light. Then the whole group of goats clambering about the hall turned into clouds of gold butterflies and scattered. Even so, only about 100 of them had been wiped out. Before long, the massive crowds of goats outside would probably come pouring in.
ガートルードたちの封印はもう少しだ。すまないな。もうしばらくここを持ちこたえてくれ。
もちろんだよバトラ卿。
それくらいしか私たちに見せ場はないし。
お前らも少しは戦ってもいいんだぞ。だって
私たちは
司会者だし。
Their excessively blunt refusal to refuse strange smiles. However, it had lessened the tension in the room just a bit.
バトラ様、ここは私たちにお任せを。これ以上の侵食を許しはしません。そして私たちの誰も決してかけることはありません。
無論です。なぜなら私たちもバトラ卿のゲーム版の大切な駒なのですから。
The Seven Sisters of Purgatory, the Chiesta Sister troops, and everyone else nodded forcefully.
ああ、頼むぜ。みんな、エンジのための最後のゲーム、絶対に守るぞ。下はなんとか持ちこたえて。
黄金鏡の扉もゆっくりと開き続けているぞ。まだ時間がかかるがな。
そういうわけだ。俺たちも時間を稼がねえとな。
The sea of goats that covered the ground below them was jostling about more and more. By now, even the sea surrounding the island had disappeared. The horizon was gone, and the chewed-up island was now floating on an eerie emptiness like space. The goats that had flooded the edges of Rokkenjima seemed to be spilling off the sides.
このゲーム版は
Just sucked down all the water.
もうおしまいだな。
ゲームマスターがいてコマが揃ってさえいれば、いつかゲーム版などまた広げられる。ゲームなど人が2人揃いさえすれば何だってできるのだからな。
そうだ。
Is that the...
エンジは一体どこへ？
Is that why they need two people to close it? Because the two people make a universe thing that they were speaking about before?
例のあれはどこへ隠した？
そうだ。礼拝堂。礼拝堂はどうなってる？
まだ残っている。
Chapel looked like a white building floating in the pitch-black sea of goats. Yes, this was strange. There was no way those goats who consumed everything would go out of their way to avoid just the chapel.
エンジはあそこだ。
that was certainly an exciting section of events there, but I think that's where we're going to stop it. That was a lot of fun. A lot of like, I guess I'm done for. And then somebody would swoop in, no you don't, you know, and then they would battle for a bit, and then, I guess I'm done for, and then someone else swoops in to save the day again. And usually it's, oh no, someone's getting attacked, I'll protect you. And then they punch a goat and get almost eaten. Anyway, that is where I'm going to stop it. Thank you very much for watching, and yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. It's getting exciting again. Bye.